shuttled away for no particular reason. Sometimes, they're hard to arrange or hard to figure out how they're going to fit in. But when we write very actively, and sometimes things just kind of slip through the cracks. But it was a pretty long interval between, because that's actually the very first thing that was shot for the film, and it was kind of a surprise. Like, there wasn't much time between the time that AJ. If anybody has a question for AJ, I can call him on the phone.
That was early.
No, he would.
He's actually expecting.
He would appreciate it. Spoke to him. Who's got a question for AJ? Come on. You got a question for AJ? Okay.
How much input did you put into the making of the documentary, and how did it even get started?
I'm going to call.
Let's ask AJ that question. I'll tell you what our answer is while we're calling him. So we pretty much it was a great relief when the film was first screened for us, because we had no influence over it, and we were a little bit scared of how it was going to come out.
Hey AJ, so. We're at the screening thing.
We were cooperating.
And the question is, how much influence we had over the making of the film. And before we told the truth, we thought we'd ask you. What's your answer to that question? In some ways, we had a lot of influence.
Can you put the speaker on there?
Because of our general style. And he was trying to make a film that felt like they might be giants. I'm translating.
Changing.
But other than that, you didn't see the film until it was finished. So we had no direct input over specific ideas.
Right.
That seems exactly right.
Referring to us, not AJ. He had seen the film.
Yeah. Any other questions for AJ? Come on, people. This is your opportunity. LA, what's the question?
I mean, as a filmmaker, I feel like
we have a filmmaker here.
To make a documentary about a band like you guys, how does one go about that?
How does one go about getting the opportunity to make a film about a band as awesome as they might be? That's loose translation from the audience. Oh, he said, I think I paid you. Is that true? I thought we just got some kooky back-end deal. Yeah, he said that's true. He said the biggest lie in documentary film is that there'll be money in the back end. But I guess that you can use that as a strategy. Tell them that there's money in the back end. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Oh yeah. AJ reminds me that we were friends and that he had this crazy idea, and he got me a little drunk and talked me into it.
And there was the process of John talking me into it.
Then I had to get sober again and talk Linnell into it.
Right.
Okay. Well, AJ, I really want to thank you for being part of this, and we will talk to you soon. No, it's the Tribeca one. It's the new. It's incredibly clean. Okay, I will. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye, Mr. Shirley. Bye-bye.
All right.
Maybe one more question?
Go ahead.
This was kind of touched on in the film, and I always find this kind of fascinating, the whole thing about the cupcakes and the weird fan responses.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had any other really bizarre fan experiences at events?
Yes.
To be really honest, we've actually had a couple of really odd sort of stalker experiences over the years. I mean, we've been around a long time, and we're people like Bob Dylan have 10 people every day following around the world. Basically the MasterCard graph of crazy people and multi-millionaires, that little thing right there, they find Bob Dylan and fly around the world going I'm crazy at you, Bob, your songs are talking to me. We've only had a couple of things like that, but they've been very, very weird. And it does kind of change you. I mean, it makes you behave in a different way.
Well, I would say that seemed to be a more serious issue earlier on, and in a way now I think we've also adjusted to the fact that in a way that what we are in the culture is so well established, and our relationship to the world, and our lives in our neighborhoods in New York, everything seems a lot more normal now. I think it was much stranger earlier on when we sort of didn't get, and we were already into our 20s when we started doing this, so we were not in that much more scary, mode of being extremely young people thrust into the, we had a very gradual increase in popularity over, a few years, and so we had time to acclimatize. But even then, I would say around 1990 we started attracting people that, the experience of having people who know you that you don't know was a very disorienting, strange thing. Walking down the street and having someone say, "Hey, John," it's upsetting and weird actually at the beginning, because you're used to the idea that someone who knows you is someone you know, and so I think we were a little more freaked out by it at one time, and I think now it's actually, it feels more normal to run into a fan, and it's just become, I mean, this, we're old guys now.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is our lives,
It does make you tip more responsibly.
That's right. Yes.
And and none of it is as weird as the little phones that people have.
Yeah.
So,
How long did they take?
speed round here.
How long did the voice take to figure out that you weren't doing your own thing with Bounce On for $10 a month?
Oh, it was years, but I don't know if this is in the film. But the strange thing is that they, this was back when The Voice had a ground level classified section where you would walk in and put in your classified. This sort of pre all that Craigslist kind of stuff. So like The Voice worked as Craigslist as well as an advertising base. So they wanted, and what was the weirdest part about it is that the second we did it, they were like, "You're advertising on your service." Like, and it was as if someone was calling in like every day, which seemed totally weird after like 4 years of doing it or whatever it was. That like one time we said like, "We're playing at Dr. B's," they would just bust us.
Okay, a serious question. What are the bands do you think have taken up your mantle, or do you have any other things?
I think like it's bands that are specifically stylistically like us. It's really hard to say how much of their sensibility comes from our sensibility, because I think the second you're involving humor and you're writing, you're in a very unusual group in rock music, because there's not a lot of that, and there are a lot of different shades and style choices that you have to make for that. I think for me personally, like if I go into a music store and there's a guy in the music store who's like obviously like totally into some shade of like metal or ska or whatever, and he's like, "You're that guy in They Might Be Giants. Like you guys are so cool. Like you guys really did it your own way. That's so it's so inspiring to me. To me, that actually kind of means more to me as like someone in the culture, because it's like it's not just about like this very specific like style choice. It's more just about like how you're going to make your way through the world. And to me, like the fact that they could even track us and see that there's something else going on there, that's very gratifying for them.
I just add to that, like I'm not even sure what our mantle is precisely. Right.
What more your aesthetic sense?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think the thing is, in general, if you deal with humor, you're making some very, very specific choices. And people are really opinionated about like what works for us doesn't work for other people. What works for other people, sometimes we often find like super, I mean, I don't want to get into specifics, but it's like but people do have people are different.
Yeah, I think what we've been doing is so personal that it's very hard to say what the general meaning is. And we've also had experiences where people really liked what we're doing in the 80s and then just thought we went off the road. Like everything since then has been why. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the meaning of what we're doing is aside from the personal meaning for us.
Yeah, we're probably the worst judges of how it. I'm always surprised that like people even know who we are. But thank you all so much for coming.